Lions News Fan Report is back, bringing you the hottest updates on the Detroit Lions. In today's episode, we will dive deep into the Lions' moves during free agency and try to understand the impact of these decisions for the team's future. But before we get started, have you ever stopped to think about what these acquisitions really mean for the team? Are the Lions ready to become a dominant force in the NFC? Or are we just looking at another season full of unfulfilled promises? In this video, we will analyze the most talked about moves, discuss what was right, what could have been better, and even raise some questions that Detroit fans should be asking. Don't miss out. Let's get started. First of all, one question every football fan wants to know. What was the most important move the Lions made during free agency? For many, the answer seems obvious. Cornerback DJ Reed was the most talked about signing, and indeed, his addition to the team holds great potential. When we think about the Lions' defense and their need to reinforce the secondary after Carlton Davis's departure, Reed emerges as an obvious and impactful choice. However, if we take a closer look, we see that he's not just another player. The truth is that Reed's arrival represents much more than filling a gap. Detroit's decision to invest in Reed goes beyond statistics. It's a bet on the style of play and mentality he brings with him. Detroit already has a young, talented defense, but with Davis's departure, there was a need for stability and leadership in the secondary. Reed, despite his relatively smaller size for the position, 5 feet 9 inches, is a player who has already proven capable of facing the best receivers in the league with a combination of refined technique and a physical approach to the game. He might not have the imposing stature of some of the other cornerbacks in the league, but his skills shine when it comes to press coverage, an aspect the Lions use frequently. His arrival on the team raises the expectation that he will become the new leader of the defense and, perhaps, one of the most important figures for the team in 2025. But what makes this signing even more interesting is that DJ Reed is not just a good individual player, but he fits perfectly into the Lions system. He has the characteristics that the coaches in Detroit value: aggressiveness, the ability to contest high-point throws, and a competitor's mentality. When we analyze this signing in light of the Lions' playing style, we see that the bet is not just on talent, but on creating a defense that is cohesive, organized, and, above all, tough to beat. What the Lions expect from Reed is much more than a solid season. They want someone who could become a cornerstone for the team for years to come, someone who helps shape the future of Detroit's defense. Reed is not just a solution for now. He's an investment in the long run, someone who, alongside players like Aiden Hutchinson, could form an impenetrable defense. However, if we look beyond DJ Reed, there are other players on the Lions roster that also deserve recognition. One name that often comes up in discussions about the defense is Levi Onwuzurike. The young defender had one of the best seasons of his career in 2024, and although he wasn't as talked about as Reed, his impact could be even more significant in the long run. In a position where players often take time to develop, Onwuzurike has shown that he can dominate opposing offensive lines and create consistent pressure on quarterbacks. During the past season, he racked up 29 quarterback hits, 13 quarterback hurries, and an impressive 45 pressures. These numbers are not just good, they're excellent, and his continued growth on the team could mean even greater things for Detroit's defense, especially under the guidance of Kelvin Shepard. While Reed may be the face of Detroit's secondary, Onwuzurike has all the tools to become a key piece of the defensive line, perhaps even one of the central figures of a stronger and more aggressive defense. But it's important to remember that despite the good choices made, not all of the Lions' moves during free agency were perfect. The absence of some additions that could have completed the team generated quite a bit of speculation among fans. Dayo Odeyingbo's name, for example, was mentioned as an opportunity the Lions missed. While his numbers aren't exactly eye-popping, Odeyingbo is a player who could have been a valuable addition to Detroit's defensive line. Edge players like him are often hard to come by, and his ability to rush the quarterback and wreak havoc on opposing offensive lines was a clear need for Detroit. When Odeyingbo signed with the Chicago Bears, it not only meant the loss of a good reinforcement but also represented a setback, as the Lions will now have to face him twice a year. This adds an extra layer of rivalry to those matchups. Additionally, another name that was considered a valuable addition but ultimately went to another team was Josh Sweat. Many believed he could have been the perfect complement to Aiden Hutchinson on the pass rush. With Hutchinson being one of the defense's biggest stars, Sweat could have been the ideal partner to help increase pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Signing Sweat would have given the Lions one of the most feared pass rush units in the league, but instead, he went to another team. As a result, the need for another edge player remains an open issue. While the Lions have made some good moves, they still have gaps to fill before their defense becomes one of the most complete in the NFC. Another move that generated some discussion was the decision not to bring back veteran offensive lineman Kevin Zeitler. Many fans questioned this choice. Zeitler had a solid 2024 season, and his value was undeniable. However, this decision can also be seen as a bet on the future, a vote of confidence in Christian Mahogany, a young player who showed good promise last season and who the Lions believe has great potential. While Zeitler was an important piece on the offensive line, Detroit's philosophy seems to be focused on developing their young players, and Mahogany is key to that strategy. However, the doubt remains, will Mahogany be able to maintain the level of performance he showed in his breakout season? Only time will tell. However, betting on Mahogany might be the right call, considering the Lions are looking to build a solid foundation for the future, where youth could be the key to future success. As we observe what the Lions have done and what they've missed in free agency, one question always arises: which team in the NFC should worry Detroit fans the most? Without a doubt, the Vikings remain one of the biggest rivals. While attention often focuses on quarterbacks, the strength of the Vikings in 2025 might come from improvements made in the trenches. The addition of veterans like Will Fries, Javon Hargrave, and Jonathan Allen shows that the Vikings are strengthening both their offensive and defensive lines. Their work in the trenches is crucial to their success, and they are doing it very well. However, the Bears are also reinforcing their team in impressive ways, and the arrival of new head coach Ben Johnson, former offensive coordinator for the Lions, adds a new level of tension to matchups between the two teams. The Bears have invested heavily in reinforcing their offensive line and defense, and they also have a young quarterback talent in Caleb Williams. This makes them a serious threat to the Lions, especially as Detroit focuses on improving its own defense. So, what's the conclusion? The first week of free agency brought good signs for the Lions, but also revealed areas that still need attention. The defense looks stronger with the addition of DJ Reed and the continuity of Levi Onwuzurike, but the defensive line still needs more depth. Additionally, the bet on the youth of the offensive line and players like Christian Mahogany may be a strategic move that will pay off in the future. However, rivals in the NFC aren't sleeping, and competition is only going to increase. For Detroit fans, 2025 promises to be a season of many highs and lows, but also a chance for the team to prove they are ready to take the next step. Now, all that's left is to wait and see how these bets pan out. If you enjoyed this video and want more content like this, don't forget to follow our channel, Lions News Fan Report, and stay up to date on all the latest news about the Detroit Lions. See you next time.